Now it makes sense why Reacher is so protective of the special investigators. Reacher Season 3's Dominique Cole flashbacks add vital context to the titular character's actions in Season 2, particularly when it comes to the special investigators. Despite his nomadic lifestyle, icy demeanor, and stubborn reluctance to be contacted, Jack Reacher's life is filled with special people. Said people are typically figures Reacher worked with during his time in the military, and none are closer to his heart than the members of the 110th Special Investigations Unit. Reacher Season 2's premise involved a troublesome criminal hunting the special investigators down one by one, forcing Alan Ritchson's character to drop the lone wolf act and team up with his ex-colleagues, protecting the survivors while getting revenge for those already killed. At a glance, Reacher's protectiveness over the 110th members needed no explanation. They developed a family-like bond while operating together, and Reacher felt a sense of responsibility as their former boss. Reacher Season 3, however, casts his guardian-esque relationship with the special investigators in a fresh light. Cole's death explains why Reacher is so protective of the special investigators. As revealed in Reacher Season 3, Episode 4, Major Jack Reacher suffered two significant losses earlier in his military career, and these deaths helpfully explain why he later became so fiercely protective over the special investigators. As an MP, Reacher was assigned to work with subordinates Dominique Cole and Tony Frasconi. Based on Reacher's reluctant response, when the notion of forming a team was suggested, it can be assumed that Cole and Frasconi represented the first real, close-knit team Reacher ever presided over as a mentor figure within the military police. The 110th gave Reacher a second chance to create what he started building with Cole and Frasconi. Cole and Frasconi seem to have been the first youngsters Reacher made an effort to pass his vast knowledge of deduction and case working onto, the first fledglings taken under his wing and led into his closely guarded inner circle. Ultimately, the three-person unit was torn apart in an instant by evil Reacher Season 3 villain Xavier Quinn. Frasconi died attempting to protect Cole, then Cole herself was captured, tortured, and killed by Quinn in the most brutal and inhumane fashion imaginable. Losing his two crotches so suddenly and violently and in a single night, no less would explain why Reacher bears such a responsibility for protecting the 110th Special Investigators in the present. The 110th gave Reacher a second chance to create what he started building with Cole and Frasconi, and he was determined to avoid the likes of Neagley, O'Donnell, and Dixon meeting the same cruel fate. While the Quinn incident wasn't exactly his fault, Reacher still learned a hard lesson that cemented his resolve to make absolutely sure he never let the 110th members down in the same way he feels he let down Cole and Frasconi. Reacher's experience with Cole explains how he stays so focused after Season 2's special investigator deaths. Reacher's reaction to Cole's demise stands in stark contrast to the way Alan Ritchson's character carried himself in Season 2 of Prime Video's series. After learning about the deaths of several special investigators, Reacher was clearly angry and vengeful, but never lost his composure or calm resolve, remaining steady enough to work the case, sleep with Dixon, and even crack a joke or two along the way. Reacher's reaction in Season 3's flashbacks could not be more different. When the special investigators began dropping, quite literally, in Season 2, Reacher put whatever upset and sadness he was enduring aside. For most fans of Reacher, whether they came to the character through Lee Child's books or the hit television series, it's clear that Jack Reacher is not a man prone to sentimentality. He drifts, he detaches, and he disengages from most people and places almost as a rule. Yet time and time again, one exception keeps surfacing: his fierce loyalty and protectiveness toward members of the U.S. Army's 110th Special Investigations Unit, the elite group he once commanded. It's more than nostalgia. It's more than military camaraderie. Now, it makes sense why Reacher is so protective of the special investigators, because for a man like him, they represent something profoundly rare and fundamentally irreplaceable. The unit was his first true family. While Reacher's imposing frame and combat acumen define him outwardly, inwardly he is a man forged by loneliness. Born into a military family constantly on the move, with a father whose duty eclipsed warmth and a mother cloaked in her own secrets, Reacher's childhood was rootless. The transient nature of home left him wary of attachment and wary of trusting institutions that promised stability but never delivered it. Enter the Special Investigators. In this elite unit, handpicked and led by Reacher himself, he found a family not bound by blood, but by competence, loyalty, and unspoken understanding. These weren't just colleagues, they were kindred spirits. There were people who, like him, didn't fit the conventional molds, but thrived in the gray zones where rules bent and justice needed enforcing without bureaucracy slowing it down. Francis Neagley, perhaps the most famous of his trusted investigators, exemplifies this connection. Brutally efficient, as no nonsense as Reacher himself, and fiercely loyal, but only to those who prove they deserve it. For Reacher, protecting the Special Investigators is not just about guarding his old unit. It's about safeguarding the only true tribe he ever had. They share a code, one the outside world can't understand. Reacher's ethical compass doesn't always align with legal procedure, but it rarely wavers in clarity. The Special Investigators were an extension of that code. A tight-knit crew that prioritized right over rules, truth over politics, and justice over protocol. To outsiders, their methods might have seemed unorthodox, but to Reacher, they were necessary and justified. He knows that the world outside the unit often punishes people who live by such a clear, unwavering code. Bureaucrats, corrupt commanders, and opportunists have tried to undermine or betray the unit before. Reacher's protectiveness comes from his understanding that this small circle of people is rare precisely because they uphold ideals that the rest of the world compromises on every day. If he doesn't protect them, no one will. The Army betrayed them before. Fans of the books and series will remember that Reacher's exit from the Army wasn't a clean break by choice. It was more like a disillusioned departure forced by politics and restructuring. His unit was disbanded, not because it was ineffective, but because it was inconvenient. It had become too good at rooting out corruption that powerful figures wanted to remain hidden. That kind of institutional betrayal scars a soldier's soul, and for Reacher, it made one thing clear: the brass wouldn't look out for his people. So he made it his mission to do it himself. Whether it's stepping in when an old teammate is targeted as seen in bad luck and trouble, or quietly avenging wrongs done to his former colleagues, Reacher sees it as a personal duty, and perhaps even penance for not being able to protect them from the military machine when it mattered most. Neagley is the symbol of all of it. If there's one figure who distills why Reacher's protectiveness endures, it's Frances Neagley. Fans who know her from the books understand she is one of the few people Reacher implicitly trusts, so much so that she's one of the only characters he ever consistently stays in contact with after leaving the Army. Neagley isn't just an old friend. She's the embodiment of the values the unit stood for. Her meticulousness, her personal code, and her refusal to compromise make her, in many ways, a mirror of Reacher himself. His protectiveness of her is not romantic, it's reverence. She represents what was best about the Special Investigators, what the Army squandered, and what the world rarely honors. By defending her and others like her, Reacher is defending the ideal of uncorrupted, unflinching justice that once made him believe in something larger than himself. It's his way of finding purpose. Perhaps the most poignant reason Reacher is so protective of his special